Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. 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 Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvāmanusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim Namostu te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullarabindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purna Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vitraikapanaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Duhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dugdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsas Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Bhishmadrona Tata Jayadrata Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Krupena Vahani Karnena Velakula Ashvathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Sotirna Kalu Pandavairana Nadi Kaivartaka Keshavaha Parashariya Vachasaroja Mamalam Gitartha Gandhotkatham Nanakyanaka Kesaram Marikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Shatpadairaharaha Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuyad Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradvamsina Shreyase Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedais Sangha Padakramo Panishadair Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Na Vidusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namah. We are studying the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, dealing with the three gunas, or the three characteristics of every being. So in the 7th verse, Sri Krishna spoke about the Ragatmaka Rajaha. Rajas, which is of the type of Raga. What is Raga? Raga means attachment. Raga also means a kind of delusion wherein one thinks that what one is trying to hold on to, or what one is trying to rely upon, is the ultimate goal of life, or it is the ultimate. Just as we have in the world, we think that we get in contact with somebody or in relationship with somebody, and we think that that is going to bring permanent joy to us. But never would any thing other than one's own self brings joy to us. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is this this conversation between sage Yajnavalkya and sage Maitreyi, who was also a sage. And there says very, very clearly that nava are patyuk kamaya patih priyo bhavati atmanastu kamaya atma priyo bhavati patih priyo bhavati. A husband is loved by the wife, not for we have discussed it many a times with in our classes, so Shriben is laughing. So the husband becomes dear to the wife, not for the sake of the husband, but for one's own self. See, I want to be happy. Naturally, I want somebody else to give me that happiness. That is what it is. Atmanastu kama. But if you take it from a higher point, see it from a higher point of view, my Atman is extended over there. I see my own Atman in him or in her, whatever it is, and therefore my husband or my wife or my child becomes very dear to me. This has got great psychological significance if you study it or if you think about it very deeply. It is because of the self that is in everyone, in everything, that we love the other one. But ultimately it is the self, that is myself, which is more dear to me than anything else. It is for my sake. Sri Ramakrishna says very, he gives that beautiful example. A disciple came to Sri Ramakrishna and he said, "Sir, I am so much attached to my wife and children and all that. I am unable to practice spiritual disciplines because I am always thinking of them. I can't think of anything else." So the teacher says, "My dear, the only thing that is of importance is the divine. If you can love the divine with all your heart and soul, then you will have peace of mind." But this disciple says, "No, my wife and children, they love me so much. They love me more than themselves." "Is that so?" "Yes." "All right. I will show how much they love you." Okay. Said, "I will give you this tablet, this medicine. Take this, go home, and then you take this tablet and you will go to sleep. All of your organs will stop functioning for some time, for a time being, but you will be able to listen to what the others are saying. You will be conscious, but your physical features will all be numb. So do that." All right. Goes, and then he takes it, and his body becomes stiff like a piece of wood. And he was a tall and very hefty man, and he laid down, and everybody thought that he is dead, and his wife comes and cries and says, "Oh, what has happened to me? There is no point in my living anymore. See, you have gone, and who is going to look after everyone? There is no point in my living anymore." And she was banging her head against the floor and was crying and crying and crying, people trying to come and to pacify her. In the meantime, the body had become so very stiff, and the door of the house was very narrow, small and narrow. So then the people came to take the body away, but the body was so big that it could not go through the door. It's just a story, it's not reality. So he wants to, so another disciple of the teacher was sent as that person who is like the undertaker. So he goes and says, "Look here, his body has become so stiff, we cannot move him at all, and this door is too small. We need to break the door, widen the pathway so that we can take this body away." So the wife says, oh, what will happen? If you demolish the door and then if you take it away, then who is going to pay for all of that? I don't have the money to pay for it. He has not left much money with me. So then he says, okay, we have got a solution. What is it? I can cut off his legs and arms, etc., and make him small so that he can be slid through the door. So then after a little while she says, well, if that is so, please do so. I don't mind him. I don't mind. He has already died. So what does it matter if his limbs are all cut or not cut? We take him away there. Anyhow, just remove the body from here. Just at this moment, the Guru had also came there, and the effect of the medicine had just weaned off, and then he gets up and says, what? You do not care for me. This is the care that you have towards me, and you are happy for my limbs, etc., to be cut off, just to save some money to break the door. Now, then he turns to the teacher and says, now I know that everybody, that they love me because of their own sake. They love me because of their own sake. So, this is a story. We should not take it literally, but it is just to illustrate the fact that ultimately the dearest person to ourselves is our own self. Our own self. This must be always understood. So ragatmaka, raga means this attachment is, yes, it is necessary to have some attachment, some kind of love and attachment, it is necessary, but we should not take that to be the ultimate. Ragatmakam vidhi. So he says, you understand, O Arjuna, that this rajas, it creates these desires, it creates attachments in us. That is to say, if we are looking for happiness outside all the time, but we should look for happiness within ourselves. Outside means in others, etc. We are looking for happiness in others. And then he says, Trishna Sangha Samudbhavam. Trishna Sangha Samudbhavam. I think we studied it. Trishna Sangha Samudbhavam. Trishna. Trishna means this thirst. Thirst. Trishna Sangha Samud. Productive of longings and attachment. Trishna, this thirst or this fire that is burning within us always. It must be quenched. It must be put down sometimes. But it cannot be fully satiated. It cannot be fully, completely put down. Because if I put down one desire, another desire will immediately pop up. So, I think I mentioned Tarangaite api me samudrayante, says Narada in the Bhakti Sutra. It may start as a small ripple, but it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger waves. That is the nature of desire, objects of the senses. That is the nature of the objects of the senses. So therefore, we should. And where does it come from? He analyzes it. Trishna Sangha Samudbhavam. It comes because of bondage. We are tied to it or we catch it. Actually, we catch it. It does not catch us, we catch it. And then we think, and later we think it will catch. Another funny story which I have mentioned many times. These sadhus, they go to the Himalayas, you see. And so these two sadhus, they were very great friends. And so they were going to the Himalayas. And generally, in the hills, you start walking very early. And by noon or by 1 or 2 o'clock, you reach your destination or you camp. Otherwise, after afternoon, the winds will blow strongly and you will not be able to move. It will be difficult to find a place to stay. So that's what they do. About 3 o'clock, everybody gets up and goes or travels. So these two sadhus, they were doing this. And then at one place in the Himalayas, they went and there was no roof. In fact, I have been to that place also. And there was no roof on top, but we were inside 4 walls. There was no roof. It was in Bhujbasa, near Gangotri, after Gangotri, where the Ganga starts, Gomukh, Bhujbasa, the place. So night I saw there is no roof at all. All of us sadhus were sleeping there. So it is cold, but you cover yourself with a blanket or a sleeping bag and all of that. They give you enough blankets to cover yourself. Now you can see the stars in the night. That's beautiful. That is the good point there. So these two sadhus were going, and there were other sadhus also who were going towards their destination. And so they were sleeping. And then, because it was inside, they had a fireplace at one corner. It was a little bit cozy. And so they all covered themselves with blanket and they lay down. And there was no light in those days. It was only morning they will, night they will just light a lamp, and then afterwards they will put off the light and go to sleep. So all the sadhus had gone to sleep, and in the morning everybody got up and they were going. It was all still very dark inside. And then this sadhu was still lying. His friend had got up and he had already got ready to go. And then he found that his friend was not coming. So he shouted outside, "Hey sadhu, get up, get up, get up. It's already late. We will be very late to start. Get up, I have already got up. Utho, get up." So the other person said, "मैं क्या करूं? What shall I do? मैं तो उठना चाहता हूं. I want to get up. लेकिन कंबल मुझे नहीं छोड़ता है. लेकिन the blanket is not leaving me. It is holding on tight to me." What had happened actually was a bear, a Himalayan bear, had come and it had found the door open, and it went and it hugged him and then it slept. So, and then he was, because it was dark, he was just feeling it and he felt it like a blanket, a soft blanket. So, Rajas is like this, Trishna Sangha Samudbhava, it just comes and catches over to you. Trishna Sangha Samudbhavam Tan Nibadnati Kaunteya, then it binds you, it entangles you. Karma Sangena, through the feeling of I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, and etc. I am doing the work and I am enjoying it, etc. Karma Sangena. When a person has got this Trishna, this fire burning within himself, he cannot keep quiet, which is the status of most of us anyway. Then he talks about tamas, Again and again Sri Krishna is talking about the different characteristics of a person of sattva, rajas and tamas. So in this 8th verse he says, "Tamas tvajnanajam viddhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramadalasya nidrabhistan nibadnati bharata." As for the guna known as tamas, it is ignorance born and is productive of delusion in all beings. It binds the soul with the obsession of a disposition characterized by negligence, indolence and sleepiness. See, these are the characteristics of a tamasic person. What tamas does is, it hides reality from us. It's like Sri Ramakrishna says, he takes a towel and he puts it in front of him and says, "This is like tamas. I cannot see. I am now able to see you, but if I just put the towel in front, I cannot see you, nor can you see me. So in the same way, tamas is that which hides knowledge, the hides the reality. That's what it is. And it says ajnanajam. It is born out of ajnana. That is not knowing the reality, not knowing God or not knowing reality. That is the reason why we become tamasic. See, it is very, very clear. If I am not aware of something, why would I try and go and look for it? I won't. Isn't it? That's very true. Everybody says there is God. Okay? I don't know God. So why should I go and try to look for God? That is our feeling that we have. That it's a reality, it is there, and it has been proved by the lives of great saints and the scriptures, etc., that we do not want to accept it. Because I am not able to see God, I am not able to experience God, therefore I will easily say there is no God. If I don't see air, but yet I breathe air. If I say there is no air because I don't see air, it is foolishness indeed. Similarly, God is a reality, but because I do not, in our tamasic nature, we try to negate the reality and say, no, it is not there because I am not able to experience, I am not able to see it. That's what ajnanajam viddhi, not knowing the reality. So, wherever we see the predominance of these kind of feelings, we'll have to say that there is tamas very much over there. And he says, what are the three particular moods of a tamasic person or of a person who is given to this indolence? Pramada. First he says pramada, non-alertness or inadvertence. See, sometimes we say, oh, I did it inadvertently. That means my focus was not there, my concentration was not there. So it is just something wrong I have committed, it is inadvertence. So pramada, another meaning of pramada is not doing our actions when it has to be done. Suppose something has to be attended to at the right time. Instead of that, I will say, baad mein karenge, I will look at it later. Complacence. Correct, complacence. That's why awareness is such a great important factor in our life, that total awareness. So pramada, of course, physical reasons may be there, mental reasons may be there, but all of this contribute towards this tamasic nature. And alasya is laziness or tired. Even though I have the need for something, but I will just say, no, I don't want to. I don't want to. Tiredness or laziness. This is the tamasic nature. No, nobody has to be blamed about it, but it is something which is inherent in beings. And then nidra. What is nidra? Is excess of sleep. We need sleep. Definitely, we need 7 to 8 hours. Some 6 hours. It's okay. But more than that, just indulging in sleep, that is a sign of tamas. So all of this, what does it do? It makes us lose our alertness, our preparedness. That is, the other term is preparedness. I must be prepared. I must be ready for anything. See, Swami Vivekananda used to say to his newly ordained monks, see, you must be so alert that this very moment, if I ask you to sit and then merge your mind in deep meditation, you should be able to do that. That alertness must be there. In the next moment, if I wake you up and then I say, go and pluck some vegetables, etc., take it to the market and sell it, and then come back within such a time, you should be able to do that. That alertness must be there. Swami Vivekananda was a very epitome of this alertness, extraordinary alertness, because that brings sharpness also. So tamas makes one's intellect very dull because you are not interested in anything at all. See, if we cover light with layers of a cloth or layers of glass, for example, several pieces of glass, we don't allow the shine or the light to come through. That's what we do. So tamas, it covers or dilutes us, and it covers the reality. So, and this tamas, interestingly, it tries to seek the company of bondage. It wants to be bound. See, it does not pay heed to wise counsel. This is what happens in our young people nowadays. This is we are seeing this more and more. They don't want to listen to the advice of their parents or those who have gone through the trials and tribulations of life. They just don't want to, because they are tamasic. They don't want to pay heed to, see, listening and trying to understand what the person who has had experience in life has to say is an art by itself. Listening is an art by itself, I should say. It's a great art just to be listened. That's what, why do we pay counselors so much? Because they have learnt the art of listening. They will just listen, not just hear, but they listen to you. They may not even say anything at all. Just quietly listen to what the other person says, especially if that person is your guardian, your parent, or somebody whom you respect highly. Just listen to that. So that will remove by itself this bondage from you. That is the idea. He gives tamastva jnanajam viddhi pramada alasya nidravi. Tamogun, from tamo, if in order to get rid of tamas, one must become rajasic. Rajasic. And then rajasic, when it becomes purified, that is when you start becoming more and more aware of what you are doing, and you become aware that the objects of the world or the world itself is impermanent, then sattva enters into you. So, first of all, that's why Swamiji said Bhagavad Gita is a great scripture, there is no doubt. But he exhorted the young men in Madras, said, standing at the temple, Parthasarthi temple, Sri Krishna's temple over there, he says that you will be nearer to God by playing football than by reading. That is to say, you are all sleeping, Go and playing football in the sense that you energize yourself, you become rajasic, you become strong, and then you talk about sattva. Otherwise you are just lying down or doing it and then say Ram, 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 Krishna, 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 and all the time, and not do anything for yourself or to the others. Just bhok khao or so jao. That is not it. That is not it. You should not be like that. You should be, we have come into this world, God has sent us into this world to do something, to be of some help, some assistance to the others who are nothing but forms of the same divine. So we need to have that attitude. Therefore, in order to conquer tamas, one should have rajas at least. Rajas, one should bring rajas into one's heart. Do not talk to them about sattva, because they will equate tamas and sattva as the same. Sattva, of course, is where you do not engage yourself in too much of activity, etc., and you keep quiet, you become pure, etc. So the tamasic people will think that is sattva. We see this everywhere, People will wear all kinds of paraphernalia on them, tattoos and the nama and other things, and then they will behave as if they are great with a japamala in their hand. They will always behave as if they are, even if something wrong is going in front of them, they will just keep quiet. Because they are so tamasic, they don't want to protest, they don't want to go, they just hide behind the facade of sattva. That should not be done. That is the idea. That is said here. Okay. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati rajah karmani bharata jnanam avrutya tu tamaha pramade sanjayatyuta. Sattva enslaves one to a mood of joy and happiness, and rajas to one of activity, while tamas, which veils up knowledge, fills one with negligence and laziness. See, sattva also binds us. So he says, Sattvam sukhe sanjayati. The Swami Tapasyananji has used a wonderful word here. Sattva enslaves one. That is also a slavery. One enslaves one to a mood of joy and happiness. See, there are people who just take the name of the Lord all the time. They are all engaged in Ram Nam or Krishna Nam or whatever God's name. They are full of joy. But they only hold on to that and forget everything else. So that is called an enslavement. They do not think that beyond that there is something else, beyond this joy. People have, for example, I have seen and I hear also people talking about their visions and so on and so forth. They hear music, they hear, they smell sweet fragrance, and they do all sorts of things. And they are so held up on to that, or they hold on to that so much that they do not want to progress anymore. They do not want to say, no, there is something here greater than this joy. Because ultimately this also will go away. If there is a big calamity that comes upon you, this joy also will disappear. So sattvam sukhe sanjayati. It definitely brings the lower mind upwards, there is no doubt. But when the mind wants to go beyond these happy feelings, it does not let it go. I think I have said this last time I told about this. Sri Ramakrishna himself, in his life we see this. He was so devoted to the Divine Mother, he was talking to her and all the time in presence of the Divine Mother. So when Totapuri gave him the mantra and then wanted him to become a monk, and he wanted him to raise his mind higher and merge it into Brahman, his mind would not go further at all. It would be just caught up in conversation with the Divine Mother. And then Totapuri says, no, now cut off the form of the Divine Mother with the sword of knowledge. He advises him. But Sri Ramakrishna's mind was like that. Whoever gives any wise advice, he will immediately catch on to it. Unlike ours, we keep on questioning. But his mind was so pure. He immediately caught to that idea. And even though it was painful for him, yet he said, I am now cutting off the form of the Divine Mother. As soon as the Divine Mother's form came into his eyes, he just cut it off, and his mind soared into the highest plane of Brahmanhood. So that is rasasvadana. This is called as rasasvadana. Like that cow chewing its cud. Do you know about the cow? You give something to it. It will keep on chewing it, keep on chewing it. There is nothing in its mouth, but yet that saliva that it has, it will keep on chewing it. In the same way, rasa, that juice that we have enjoyed from sattva, that we keep on enjoying that, but we don't go any further. Swamiji in his poem, the sannyas, in the song of the sannyas, he writes there, bonds though of gold are not less strong to bind. Beautiful. bonds though of gold. See, somebody went and a king was having was imprisoned, and they shackled him with iron chains, and he was complaining, "Look, I am a king. You cannot shackle me like this." So they said, "All right, we will shackle you with golden chain. That will give you some peace." So even though whether it is iron chain or golden chain, it doesn't matter. A shackle is a shackle. So chain is a chain, so to say. So rajas is like mercury, it will slip. Raja sattvam sukhe sanjayati, rajaha karmani bharata. Rajas it guides one towards activity. It's like mercury, it will be slippery and slippery, slippery, unless you have an ideal before you. See? And you keep on working and working and working, and ultimately there is no peace of mind even in work. So sometimes away from everything, retreating away from everything, that's very important. And then tamas. Tamas, it debilitates our faculties. It does not allow us to make any difference between the right and the wrong. While tamas veils up knowledge, fills one with negligence and laziness. Negligence. That is something which we need to note. Laziness and negligence, tamas. We have to come out of that. Rajas tamas cha vibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata. Rajas sattvam tamas chaiva tamas sattvam rajas tatha. Overpowering rajas and tamas, sattva prevails sometimes. Suppressing sattva and tamas, rajas becomes dominant, and likewise, dominating over sattva and rajas, tamas holds the field. He says that every person's character traits, that is, these gunas, they overpower each other. Sometimes you are in a sattvic mood, which is overpowering the rajas and tamas. Sometimes you are in a very, very active mode. So that overpowers the sattvic and your tamasic nature. And sometimes, like when we are asleep, tamas, it overpowers the sattvic and rajasic nature. So there is always a predominance of one characteristic or one guna within us. So our effort should be, a spiritual sadhakas, a spiritual seeker's effort should be to make sure that one is not in tamas and rajas for too long. That is why Sri Ramakrishna used to instruct all the great saints, of course, they instruct us that spend some time for God alone in your day-to-day life. In the morning, Sri Ramakrishna, in fact, we have got it as Sandhya. Sandhi means the joining time or the meeting time of the night and the day. It is called as Prataha Sandhya, morning, before the sun has risen and all that. So that is the time when the whole of nature is calm. Your mind is also, to a certain extent, very calm. At that time, you should give up every other aspect of your life and just focus your time in going deeply into your meditation. And then there is called as Madhyana Sandhya. That means when the morning meets the afternoon, that is the noon, at that time also one can concentrate. Just a few prayers mentally. In today's world, it's very difficult for us to take out some time and sit and meditate during the daytime. So at least when you're, for example, lunchtime, everyone has lunchtime. At that time, just before lunch, spend a few minutes just in thinking of the divine. Even closing your eyes for a little while and just think of God within yourself also is good enough. And then the longer one should be the evening. That is when the day ends and the night meets the day. So that is called a Sayam Sandhya. Another meaning is Samyak Dhyayate iti Sandhya. Two meanings of that. Samyak Dhyayate. That means at that Dhyayate means one who meditates. One who meditates properly at these 3 times, that time is known as Sandhya. It is a time for contemplation and or meditation. So the idea is that one must devote some time at least in the morning and in the evening for the divine. Now what are we doing when we are thinking of the divine? We are trying to think of the divine that is seated within our own heart. God is not somebody who is sitting, we may imagine as God as seated in cloud 9 or in heavens or whatever it is. That is external, that's okay. But we must bring that divine within ourselves. Slowly and slowly, the divine that is within becomes a great friend of ours. We can befriend, we can ask questions of the divine within our own being, and we definitely, I will say 100% with 100% guarantee, I will say that one can get answers to one's questions when if and when one develops that relationship with the divine that is within every one of us, within ourselves. So one must develop, and this relationship is everlasting, because that is the very source of our very existence, and it is everlasting. Especially when we get older and older, when all the other relationships will slowly and slowly will wilt away, will wither away, then with whom can we have relationship? If we have only developed relationship with the divine that is within ourselves, then only we will be able to live within ourselves. Here I had one gentleman, he lived up to 100 years. I used to go and see him sometimes in the nursing home. Oh, you know him.
Yeah, he went for meditation in
Dr. Aru, the Theosophical Society. Theosophical. Yeah, correct. So he was there in the nursing home, and I used to go. After his wife's passing away, he himself said, "No, I don't want to stay with my children. I will go and stay in that same nursing home where his wife was." And he used, throughout his life, he had spent his time in meditation. It's a teaching meditation he has taught. There, at the age of 100, he used to teach meditation to the inmates over there. And whenever I would go, I would see him reading some book. He wrote 3 books sitting there at that age. He wrote 3 books. So, see, how can he do that? And he never felt lonely. Never felt lonely. As long as his wife was there in that nursing home, he used to go for every day morning from his home, take the food, and then would feed, because she is completely demented. So he was looking after her all the time. Generally, what will happen? If you have done such, then you feel a sense of loss, isn't it? But no, he didn't feel any sense of loss at all. He just went there, and he was happy with everybody. And anybody who used to come, they used to just, all the nurses and the staff, they all used to love him, because there was no selfishness in him at that time. There, he only, he was happy within himself. Whatever was given, he was happy. No demands, nothing at all. Rather, he would go and help the others, even at that age. See what great as examples we have. That to achieve that state, to come to that state, one must develop this habit of regular prayer, regular meditation. without fail, without fail. Even if we miss one day, it will roll upon to the next day. See, oh, today I did not do, doesn't matter. Yesterday I didn't do, doesn't matter, I will not do it today. That's how it will keep on. No. Even if it is for 5 minutes, it's all right. We should just sit and meditate and develop that internal relationship with the Atman or the Self or the Divine that is within every one of us. So then only we can rise from tamas to rajas and have the predominance of sattva in our day-to-day life. Stop here. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogiridhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanatam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram.